Give it up for our Unity North Band. Mercy, mercy, mercy. Thank you for kicking off our service this morning. Good morning, how are we? I know it's been a while since I've done the welcome, but I know we can do better. Good morning. There we go, there we go. Thank you for choosing Unity North this morning. Thank you for tuning in wherever you are. We feel your energy and we are sharing it right back at you. We are going to start our service off with prayer this morning. Together, as we take a deep breath, uniting in thought and in fellowship, we remember that we are one. We are never separated from one another. We are never separated from Source. And today, we ask ourselves, we ask Spirit residing in ourselves, working in us and as us, to open our hearts and our minds to be receptive to the message that comes through our talk, that comes through our song, our meditation and music. Open our hearts and our minds so that the person that we were when we walked in the door, the person that we were when we tuned in, is no longer the person that we are at the end of the service. Whether the words that we hear are challenging or peaceful, allow it to change us. Allow it to make our love lights that are connected, because we are always connected, to make our love lights shine brighter and stronger into this world. We say thank you for the gifts we've already received. We say ashe for our ancestors. And as a church together, we say amen. Amen.
Thank you, Danielle. And I appreciate that she set the arena already for me today. She says, whether the words are challenging for you today or not, take a big breath. We know that we are the product of our choices, yes? Where we sit today, we are the product of our choices, and tomorrow will be the product of our choices. So let's choose heaven. Let's choose love. Let's choose truth today, yes? Up on your feet, let's get that first song going. It's Ricky Byers' song, I'm Choosing Heaven Today. We need a little rhythm. Now, come on, get your hands going. Together we sing, I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road to heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing heaven. That's a nice warm-up. Let's hear it, everybody. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the How about a little choice for love? I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing love today. I am walking the road to heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing love. How about a little choice for love to your left and your right? Let somebody know that you're choosing love for them and with them today. Those of you online, we're so grateful that you're choosing love and that you've chosen to be with us today. Thanks so much for joining us. I hope you feel the love through the airwaves that we're sharing with each and every one of you. Go meet somebody you've not met before. Come on, go say hi, don't be shy. All right, let's choose a little truth today. I'm choosing truth today. I'm choosing truth today. I am walking the road to heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing truth. I'm choosing heaven. One more time. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road to heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing heaven today. I'm walking. I am walking the to heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing heaven today. Give yourselves a round of applause. That's an excellent choice. Please Please be seated. We want to welcome anybody who's here for the first time, either in person or online. We want you to know that we behold the light that you are. We value the gift that you've brought into this energy field, into this space, and into this stream. In this community, we teach that there are many paths to the one God, and we're all on a different path, but we're all finding our way home as we walk each other home together, hand to hand, heart to heart, soul and to soul, and spirit to spirit. And so we value the gift that you have brought into this space, and we just thank you for being here. And we have a welcome team that would love to help you feel welcome. Raise your hand if you're on the welcome team. Look at the back there. You can see them. They're all around the room. If you have any questions about Unity North, they would love to answer those questions. We're going to be celebrating that team next week. But if you're new, either in the room or online, you can text the word new to that number right there and get plugged into all the good things that are going on at Unity North. So we behold you as the light, and we thank you for that light here today. Right now, speaking of a light, I'm going to have Danielle come back up and tell us a few of the announcements that are happening.
Well, good morning again, my friends. I am curious, though, does anyone like free stuff? Yes? Okay, good. So you need to go downstairs to Holy Grounds. We've got some free stuff for you. We did some spring cleaning here at Unity North, and we're going to give it away. So you want to go downstairs after service to Holy Grounds and get yourself some free stuff, okay? All right, let's make that happen. So starting with our announcements today, we have coffee and connections today. This will happen right after service at 12:45 in the front office just out there. So if you are new or new-ish, come on down for some coffee and connections. It'll be fun. You'll get your questions answered and all of those things about Unity North that you wanted to know. Today at 2 o'clock in our Peace Chapel, we celebrate the life of a beloved member of our church, Richard Clancy, who gave so much to this beautiful community. And we are going to be sharing stories and memories of Richard at 2 o'clock in the Peace Chapel. So 2 o'clock Peace Chapel today, lots of love will be just beaming from the space down there. We have a body, mind, and spirit workshop with Kathleen McKinley happening on January 26th at 7 p.m., also in the Peace Chapel. So be sure to mark your calendars for that. And we have another celebration of life that is happening on February 4th, another sweet, sweet spirit in our community. Both will be dearly missed. Harry Cohn's celebration of life will be February 4th at 3 p.m. in the sanctuary. So we do have one for Richard today at 2, and Harry Cohn's will be February 4th at 3 o'clock in the sanctuary. With all of the things that we have happening at Unity North, none of it is happening without you, without the volunteers, the sweet, sweet volunteers in our community. So our way of saying thank you to them is to have a volunteer appreciation lunch February 11th at noon. So if you volunteered to do anything in 2022, then we are talking to you. Please come to the volunteer appreciation lunch. You can go onto the website or onto the app to register. We do need the registration so that we have an accurate head count and make sure that we have enough food for you. But we want to say thank you to you because there are a lot of people that do a lot of things just out of the goodness of their heart. So this is for you. And speaking of the goodness of hearts, we have Natalie Goodwin coming up to sing a beautiful song. She's singing True Colors for us today. Please put your hands together for the amazing Natalie Goodwin.
You with the sad eyes, don't be discouraged. Oh, I realize it's hard to take courage in a world full of people. You can lose sight of it all, in the darkness there inside you can make you feel so small. But I see your true colors shine see your true colors. That's why I love you, so don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful, like a rainbow. Show me a smile, and don't be unhappy. Can't remember when I last saw you laughing. If this world makes you crazy and you've taken all you can bear, just call me up, because you know I'll be there. And I see your true colors shining through. See your true colors. That's why I love you, so don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful, like a rainbow. I can't remember when I last saw you laughing. If this world makes you crazy and you've taken all you can bear, just call me up, because you know I'll be there. And I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors. That's why I love you, so don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful, like a rainbow. But I see your true colors shining through. See your true colors. That's why I love you, so don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful, like a rainbow. Ooh. Ah.
Natalie, good one. Absolutely beautiful. We can go home now. That was enough, right? You know, if you were to encapsulate what we're all about, it's what that song says. We come together to remind ourselves of what we've always been, who we've always been, that magnificent light of God expressed at the point of view. Not an exception to one person in history, but the example for all of us to remember the true colors. And when we come together, we may be down, we may be depressed, we maybe have forgotten that color, but then we're surrounded by people and community that can see it for us and with us, and then call it out and hold us accountable to the true colors and not the stuff of life. There's probably 1,000 things that people have spoken about you that were untrue, yeah? None of it is who you are. It's 1,000 relationships, good, bad, and otherwise, that you have in your experience. None of it is true. There's a true color underneath the surface. There's a divine idea underneath the surface that you've always been, that maybe has been forgotten. Today's message, I thought it was probably just going to be an easy talk, and then at first service, we dialogue at the first service because there's much fewer of us here. And it went on a bunny trail here and a bunny trail there, and it was like, ooh, this got serious. Thus, Danielle's caveat earlier. It might make you a little uncomfortable today. And I invite you to be uncomfortable as I'm up here being a little bit uncomfortable with an idea that probably deserves more exploration than 25 minutes that I can give it today. But that's what we're about. We call out which needs to be acknowledged and recognized, and then we work with it. You see, if the sermon is just today or the talk is just today and you don't talk about it at lunch and this week, maybe it wasn't that beneficial. So I invite you to take the words, to take the ideas, and to work with them today and to play with them over lunch. But I needed help to get started. I used to watch this TV program, and I cannot remember what the name of it was, so I need your help. It was a show where you had to decipher who was telling the truth and who was telling a lie. What was the name of that program? No. Oh, yes, got it. It's called The News. Uh-oh, he's meddling already and he just started. A phrase that I have used a great deal in my ministry and in my life, that I have attributed to Gandhi as originally saying, is this: truth rises. Say that with me. Truth rises. That must have been my interpretation of Gandhi's words, because nowhere in preparation for today's talk could I find where Gandhi said that. But this is what Gandhi did say. I'm going to invite you to read this with me. Truth alone will endure. All the rest will be swept always in the tide of time. One more time. Truth alone will endure, and all the rest will be swept always in the tide of time. Truth rises. Truth will always, the buoyancy of water, the buoyancy of truth, it will always make its way to the surface and to the top. It may have been hidden, it may have been forgotten, it may be disguised, and it may actually even be twisted for some kind of an agenda. And if you think that's just the news, let's get personal. It may be twisted to meet the narrative of what I need for my soul to remain stuck in a story. It may be a narrative that has been twisted and turned and manipulated to prove some kind of a point that never really existed, but it's one we need. Yet in the end, no matter what's been done, forgotten, twisted, turned, or moved to a different place, truth will emerge and truth will find the light. Say that with me. Truth will find the light. Together. There's a poem by John Bannister Tabb that puts this beautifully in a much more gentler way than I'm going to do it today. It's called Life Again. And he writes, out of the dusk, a shadow, then a spark. Out of the cloud, a silence, then a lark. Out of the heart, a rapture, then a pain. Out of the dead, cold ashes, life again. So I would say, let me add to those beautiful words, out of the chaos, a faithful heart committed to truth. A faithful soul and a spirit committed to truth finding its way, and then poof, truth emerges like a phoenix out of the ashes. That which had subjugated, put down, forgotten, and turned and twisted, it finds its way to the surface. And we need to be ready to receive that truth, yes? We need to have a relationship with that truth in such a way that when it emerges, it's not the end of the world. It's not a house of cards that comes tumbling down. George Washington knew this when he said these words. Let's read these together. Truth will ultimately prevail where there is pains taken to bring it to the light. Truth will always find its way where there are those willing. And notice in the poem and in George Washington's words, it said pains. There was difficulties, there's strife, there's suffering in order for truth to get there. But we as committed people to truths, capital T truths, not little t truths, are going to have to sometimes be the outcast, the lone voice in order for that truth to emerge. We've got to be the lone voice standing there alone and naked when the world does not see that truth. But we see it, and we found something deeper, a higher reality.
a deeper God-centered reality. And sometimes we're the lone voice, but this is what we are required to do. Following the example of the master teacher Jesus, the lone voice in the wilderness spoke anyway. And all the great prophets and sages and teachers and masters throughout time had to be a lone voice to change the paradigm of the culture, to change the paradigm of the earth so a new vibration could emerge. We are called to do the same. So let me ask you today, where does truth lie? Where does truth lie? There are plenty of people that tell you it lies in this book, or it lies in this book, and then they will fight and argue about my truth can beat up your truth. My God can beat up your God. Does truth lie in our memories? Think about that. Does truth lie in our memories? I'm going to tell you probably not. We as human beings have what I not so affectionately call selective memory. Have you met those people? Certainly none of you here today. We have selective memory. Josh Billings once said there are a lot of people who mistake their imagination for their memory. It's a survival technique. I need to be right. I need to be justified. I need to feel good about myself, so my imagination becomes the memory. And it might not be founded completely and totally on a big T truth, but a little lowercase t truth. So let's go deeper. Is truth in our emotions? It's okay. That's not rhetorical. You can answer yes or no. Probably not is my answer, because our emotions are founded on false ego-based memories, which can often be warped by our wounds. We're all carrying around some core wounds, and if we rely on our emotions of feel-good as the only means of our truth, we may be missing the larger expression of what truth can be. So let's continue to meddle. Does truth lie in our minds? We, as a system, the unity system, says the power of the universe has been placed in our thoughts. As we think, so shall it be in reality. Does truth lie in our thoughts? We might be getting just a little bit closer, but I'm going to tell you, probably not. It may be closer, but emotions guide our thoughts. Have you noticed that? We drive our lives and our thoughts by our emotions. And those thoughts are often manipulated truths to fit our own historical narrative. There's not just fake news all over the airwaves. There's fake news sitting in the pews today. There's fake stories sitting in the pews today. There's safe stories. I feel good about my story. I've defined myself for the last 25 years by this story. And I'm telling you, just be open and receptive that it might be fake news. That there might be something that wants to emerge, that you're not here in the room by accident, but there's something that wants to happen today. If we can confront our stories, our mythologies, based on our emotions, our memories, and our thoughts, which are lowercase t truth and not uppercase t truth. You see, truth is deeper than our thoughts and our beliefs and our feelings, and far more profound than any of our memories. So I'm asking you to set all those things aside today. Set them, put them in the aisle. They'll be there for you when you want them, if you want to pick them up and go back out with them. But set them aside. So does truth live in our souls? I'm making you think. That's all I ask. That's my only job, is to make you think. Does truth live in your soul? Perhaps that's a little bit closer, and as close as we're going to get while we're still walking around in earthly suits, in skin suits on earth, trying to figure it all out. Charles Fillmore is the co-founder of Unity. This is how he defines soul. Together, the underlying idea back of any expression. You see, back of all creation, back of every experience, every relationship, everything, every person, is a divine idea in the mind of the one, in the mind of God. You are first and always have been a soul or a divine idea in the mind of God. You're not what's happening to you. You're not these relationships. You're not these experiences. You're not the stories. You never have been the story. Boy, it can sure feel like it, though, when you're suffering and you're reliving that story over and over and over and over again. It can feel like it. But beyond what has happened or is happening in the current moment, what we thought or felt about what happened, what we thought or feel about what's happening right now, beyond the story we made up about a certain person or a certain experience, beyond what we have been taught and told, because many of our stories are based on not firsthand experience, but on what somebody told us. Oh, so we took the story, made it our own, and we believed it, and it might be false. So we carry the narrative forward when we never ever had the direct experience. We are a community that's about direct experience. don't buy anything I say from this platform and take it as gospel truth, but go try it on out there. Put it on for size and see if it is a capital T truth or if it's just little t, little r, Richard's truth. Perhaps our soul is closest to the place that we have called God. Truth, it is in the absolute realm of existence. It's the part of us that's untouched by anything on the news. It's the part of us that's untouched by any expression, any history, any story, any experience. That's not always easy, is it? It's not easy at all, but we're in a birthing process, and nobody said birthing was easy. Ask any woman who's given birth. And if you're a man telling it, oh, that's easy, yeah, look out, because there's going to be a brick coming across the room at you. Because our lower T truth, our lower I identity, is holding on to that lowercase truth as a means of justification, as a means of righteousness, as a means of fear that maybe the truth I've believed and the story I've held might be wrong or maybe not totally right. It's a place of humility and vulnerability that we need to cultivate. I have a family member, and it used to drive me nuts. He is smarter than anybody else in our family. He's a brilliant man. He knows things I will never even be able to fit into my brain. And yet he believed a certain religious path that made no sense to me. There was no wisdom in the path. Yet it was this brilliant man that said my grandchildren could not come to my church. My grandchildren were not welcome. They could come visit Grandma and Grandpa, but don't let them go anywhere near that cult. Don't let them go anywhere near that place where people are telling people that they're the light of the world. And it didn't make sense to me. So I had to put my compassionate eyes on because I rebelled against it. How dare you, in your spiritual, religious arrogance, tell me that my grandkids can't come and be celebrated for the gift that they are? And compassionate eyes said, I get it. He had believed a religious truth for a very long time. And if he were to open up one corner of his mind, that house of cards might need to be adjusted, might not be totally true, that story might be a little inaccurate. Science would tell us that. New gospels being written today, new religions coming along. If you pull that card out, the whole house came tumbling down. And so a lot of what we have done on the planet today, religiously and independently as personalities in this relative realm, is to let fear drive the boat. We can't have meaningful, peaceful dialogues because you might pull that one card that brings the whole thing down. And I think that's the cause of the divisiveness that we see in our nation, that we see in the world, is we're all living from a state of fear. We can't sit at the table and have meaningful dialogues because we're defending our little t truth. We're so afraid that maybe the big T truth will cancel out something I have believed for 25 years, and I can't handle that. So we continue our mythologies. And we continue to celebrate our souvenirs of hell. We're all carrying around souvenirs of hell, as C.S. Lewis puts it. Don't we love our mythologies? And I get trouble when I start calling religious systems mythologies. They're mythologies about what we were taught religiously and interpersonally. Some of the stories I carried, I never had the experience. Somebody just told me, these are the bad people and these are the good people. These are the right people and those are the wrong people. Oh, okay, that's what we believe in this family. Great, I'll continue that and I'll perpetuate that myth. And the world gets more divided and more divided and more divided. I think it's time to just pause and breathe and stop, do a pattern interrupt and say there might be a higher case T that wants to emerge here, and that is uncomfortable. Let me tell you, compassion for the house of cards, mine and others, creates healing. The willingness to see a capital T truth. I was able to perform as a unity minister 2 of my grandkids' weddings and was invited to speak from a more broad religious perspective by my grandchildren. And this stepson, came to me afterwards and says that those were 2 of the most beautiful weddings that I've ever experienced. And there was a healing. He softened some of his boundaries. Some won't be softened. I had to soften some of my boundaries and my borders. Yet the fake news, when it was peeled away in our stories, allowed something beautiful to happen, and that's oneness, and that's unity, and that was peace in a family. If I can do it at the level of the family, can we do it on earth? I hope so. Or why do we even show up here? Peace on earth is possible. It may or may not have been based on an ultimate truth, but rather a collective buy-in to a myth that had since been shown to be warped, outdated, manipulated, or just plain twisted to control people. Religion as we know it today is rampant with superstition, even the unity movement. So I'm not going to just make us look like the great example. We just need to look at our systems. It's rampant with superstition, hypothesis based solely on our need to understand why certain things happen on earth. The entire Bible is one historical document of humanity trying to figure out why bad things happen. We blame God, we blame a devil, everything until Jesus comes along and we begin to take responsibility. We begin to take responsibility for capital T truth. It's put into our hands. The kingdom of God is at hand. It's at your hand. Not the minister's hands. I have a piece, you have a piece. Ours is to sit down at the table and find the capital T truth that transcends the lowercase t truth. Ours is to forever welcome the next iteration of truth that God is wanting to impart. Gospels are being written today. And God didn't quit speaking to humanity or through humanity or as humanity 2,000, 4,000, or 5,000 years ago. Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, said he reserved the right to change his mind at any time. Say that with me. I reserve the right to change my mind at any time. I put the thinker up there because we have been given the gift of thinking, a mental capacity to think, and so many of us in religious systems have quit thinking. And we're not isolated from that. So many of us in the Unity movement have stopped thinking. We come and it feels good. We sit in our chairs, many paths, one God, just not that one. Everywhere I look, I see the face of God, just not him, just not her. We cannot make exceptions to where we find the face of God, or our system is a little t truth that does not stand. It's on sand. Hallelujah. Hey, how are you? I got my amen corner back. Let me make this a little bit more personal. I've had situations in my life where I made up stories about people, the other people. I had been wronged. I have been betrayed. I had been used and I had been attacked. Am I the only one in the room that's ever made up a story like that? How dare they? And that may have been very true at a human level. Bad stuff happens on the human plane, at the relative realm of existence, at the little t truth, crappy stuff happens. But we are not students of little t truth. We are students of capital T truth, so I cannot make exceptions. No matter how ugly the little t truth might be, mine is to elevate the vibration, to elevate the consciousness, to elevate the perspective, to see love and God and truth everywhere. But when I held on to those stories, it kept me captive. Holding on to my little t truth stories kept me captive. And it put me in a place of suffering, and my body began to show up as suffering. My body demonstrated what suffering looked like: arthritis, it looked like ulcers, it looked like back pain, and it looked like being a miserable human being who would go to a party looking for another reason to share my little t truth about how they had wronged me. A victim story, perpetually told as a victim story and not a story of empowerment, perpetuates more reasons to be a victim. I want you to hear that. A victim story, little t truth, perpetuated over and over and over, is lining up the next opportunity for you to be a victim. But a story of empowerment is lining up the next way for you to become more of who you are, for you to be empowered, for you to not only empower yourself, but to empower the world to rise above these little t conditions and live as the living example of capital T truth. When I allowed myself to suspend my really juicy, good story and to suspend my opinion, and it happened at the board level at one point. A board member said, "I think it's time for you to get off that pity pot." Wait, I'm the minister of this church. And somebody said, yeah, and as a minister at the church, you're leading the church into poverty. You're leading church into victimhood because you keep telling a story that needs to die on this watch. Dang it, I hate that they were right. And so I suspended my opinion and I began to look beneath the surface of the condition. I began to look beneath the surface of what had happened, trying to find the light that was there when nobody else could see it. The darkness did not define me anymore, but the light, the truth that we teach, the capital T truth, began to emerge, and I found peace. Peace that surpasses understanding. It surpassed the condition. It surpassed the story and the experience. And let me tell you, if anybody who's been around for a while knows that we've had a history here. And in this history, we were that close to bankruptcy. And you would have thought, well, I took over the church. We're not going to be at bankruptcy anymore. No, for 3 years, I told a story that kept us on the edge of bankruptcy. And what changed was not only my own life, but boy, that board member was right. When I quit telling the story and I found a place of empowerment, I found a place of greater truth than my victimhood, this place became prosperous. This place not only became prosperous, it began to heal. We have 4 chaplains in the room, and they're holding the idea, the divine ideas of you. I'd like the chaplains to stand, that they can be acknowledged. They have one purpose here today. Stand up, Vilma. Vilma and David, Patrice and Teresa. If you need to be reminded that you are a divine idea in the mind of God, see one of them after the service. Go spend some time. You can sit down now, Vilma. But you can stand if you want. There are powerful people of consciousness in here that will hold you accountable to your victim story. Not chaplains, they're just going to hold you accountable to the light that you are, to the truth. They will speak truth about you, and it will probably piss you off. You know, they say in the Bible, the truth will set you free. Yeah, but first it's going to really tick you off. That means growth. If you're not ticked off once in a while, you're not growing. If I don't offend you once in a while, you're not growing. And if you don't offend me once in a while, I'm not growing. See, it's a circular energy. There's no authority here. There's just capital T truth wanting to find expression on earth at Unity North Atlanta. And I'm saying that's my challenge to you, is to be the minister that you're called to be, to see the light. Don't just let it be a theory that lives here on a beautiful song or a talk, but go out into the world and live it, breathe it, and demonstrate it, and have the guts and the courage to call everybody out to a higher place, because it's the only thing that's going to change the world. But instead, what do we go to our lunch, and we talk about their fake news, and their fake news, and their fake news. Well, what about my fake news? Accountability starts here. Accountability starts at home. What am I perpetuating? Am I adding to the darkness and the duality and the separation, or am I adding to the light of the world? You see, the truths that we live here and talk about here are not just meant for here. What a waste of time it is if that's where it stays. And I know that bothers some people when I say that. Your light is not to be held under a bushel. It's to be put on a hill, and that hill is not Unity North's hill. It is the hill of the entire earth, the entire population, as we grow the world. I don't know if any peace came for anybody else whose I had made a story up about. That was not my business to know that the person that I thought had wronged me, that they had peace. That was their business. But so many people are saying, well, I'll be kind, I'll be compassionate, and I'll be nice when they are. Oh my God, let's go back to middle school. I'd like our spirituality to be much more than middle school. I'll be a good person if you're a good person too. I don't know if it ever changed. I have no idea if it ever changed. That's not my business, because I'm about the business of my Father, my mother, the infinite capital T truth. Gandhi also said, let's read this together. Next quote. Even if you are a minority of one, the truth is the truth. Lone voices change the planet. Lone, courageous, brave people change the paradigm, raise the vibration. If my truth has to have somebody else validate it for it to be true, it's a house built on sand. If my capital T truth and my capital L love needs you to behave in a certain way, or you to validate me, guess what? It's a house built upon sand. And on the same token, if my truth refuses to even consider an alternate opinion out of my vibration of fear that the house of cards might come down, it doesn't even have sand to stand on. It's got nothing that it's standing on. It's a victim story. It's a weak story. And I want people of strength changing the planet from this community. It's an empty truth that will eventually prove itself to be a useless myth. But the truth, the capital T truth that is humble and vulnerable enough to be open to question, open to challenge. And let me tell you, the first service really challenged me. And they got in my face, and I'm better for it, although I wasn't so comfortable. Open to investigation and open to scrutiny, that truth will always rise. An awareness of God and love at its higher vibration than anything we've experienced will rise, but we must be open to challenge. And any church that you go to, any temple, any synagogue or mosque where you question the truth and they say, we don't do that here, I'm telling you to run as fast as you can out the back door. Because it's a dead spirituality. It's a dead religion. If it cannot stand up to the questions and the scrutiny, it's time for it to die, because a greater truth is emerging, and it's not going to come through those doors. Let it come through these doors, and these doors, and these doors. You know, when we pray, so many of us are praying to change God. Many people on the planet are praying to change God. Well, God gave me this disease, and so God, please take it away. Change your mind on this. Or God gave me a blessing and I want more, so God, could you change your mind and give me more? That's malpractice. That is spiritual malpractice. God is changeless. God is absolute. Truth is changeless. Truth is absolute. Your soul is absolute and is untouched by any experience out here. No matter what they said about you, truth is truth is truth is truth. Together is truth, capital T, truth. And if you are operating from a place of hurt because of what they did or because of what they said, you're living in lowercase t truth. Be the lone voice for a higher purpose. I will love anyway. Namaste anyway. The good, the God, the love, the light within me beholds the good, the love, the light within you, even if you're acting like an SOB. Yep, even then. Jesus didn't see a leper. Jesus didn't see a tax collector. He did not see a prostitute. He didn't see a fisherman, the dregs of society. He saw the soul. He saw the capital T, truth. He saw the presence of God at the center. I love that I belong to a church that encourages independent search for truth. I want you to try this on for size. Don't just swallow my words. Not only with the mythology of religion, but my own personal mythology. If you hear me, whether it be on a board or on a staff or on a Sunday morning or in Holy Grounds Cafe or at a restaurant, if my mythology needs to be questioned, question it. Spiritual accountability grows religion. Spiritual accountability grows people. Spiritual accountability grows healing and grows the peace on earth that we're trying to find all out here. It begins with me. Gandhi said this as well. Let's read the next one together. An error does not become truth by reason of multiplied propagation. Ooh, that's a hard one to swallow. The truth will set you free, but first it's going to tick you off. Most of the religious movements on the planet today, well, enough of us believe it must be true. That's a fast, fast road to the end of the world. Well, everybody in else family believes it. I was born into a very racist environment when it came to Hispanic culture, in the middle of Hispanic culture. And my best friends became the Hispanic population, many of them migrant farm workers. And I was a lone voice in my family that refused to hear the toxic language that was being spoken out of my grandparents' mouth. Beautiful, kind, loving people. Yet, in my shyness and introversion, I said, that can't happen on my watch. There's a higher T truth that wants to emerge. My grandmother, who was the most beautiful soul on the planet, held a toxic environment, spoke a toxic environment. But when she died, she didn't speak that anymore. She didn't say that anymore, because she'd been invited into a higher vibration, a higher reality. When I brought my friend, my very best friend, Dennis Charvez, home, who also happened to be gay, and I introduced him to this beautiful soul of a human being, everything shifted in the environment. And if it had come down to a little t truth or a capital T truth in that moment, I would have said goodbye to my family. And I would have walked away with Dennis Charvez, who found the love of his life, got married, and is making the world a better place out of a capital T truth. I'm glad that my parents, my grandparents, were willing to shift their mindset. But I'm more willing that I had the guts and the courage to hold fast to a capital T truth and not let the environment of a lot of people that just believe a limited idea to rule and to reign. I'm going to invite the band to come back up. Now, in some cases, things have been spoken about me. Not just stories I made up about people, but tales that contain falsehoods behind my back. And I'll be honest, some of those falsehoods still stand today. That's hard. There was not an immediate clearing of my name when I thought truth had come out, or the accusations or the beliefs around my character. You know, skunk is at the top of my totem. Skunk. Well, couldn't it be an eagle or a bear or something really great? No, it was skunk. It's because my character means everything to me. You attack my character, you're attacking my soul. I allowed that to happen. It was really hard, and it still is difficult to have my character assassinated. And it took years before truth rose. And in some cases, the truth still isn't out. But what I know is that truth will rise. If I can remain faithful out of the chaos with a faithful heart, truth will arise. I'm not making an enemy. I don't make anybody wrong, because their story probably is the same. They felt like they were being talked poorly about. And if anybody ever catches me talking poorly about any other human being on the planet, call me out. Call me out on my BS and my story. Truth will always rise, whatever the case. If there is ever to be healing, peace, or understanding between individuals, between nations, between news stations, between political parties, between countries, between cultures, I must remain centered on capital T truth and be the lone voice, the higher power operating, no matter how long it takes. Diligent about holding the divine ideas that are underneath the surface of my ego. Here, yep, wrong, terrible, awful. Here, we belong to each other, and let's find a way home. Let's find a way home together, no matter how uncomfortable this might be. Let's sit down at the table. Another quote, the rest of that quote from Gandhi, let's finish with that together. An error does not become truth by reason of multiplied propagation, nor does truth become error because nobody sees it. Truth stands, even if there be no public support. It is self-sustained. Truth flows in the direction of my leading, not your leading, my leading. That's law. That's spiritual law. If we are holding a story of resentment, resentment becomes our experience, and resentment will then be our truth. And resentment is lining up for the next evidence to prove my case. Revenge and anger and victimization, it becomes my experience and thus my truth. We're letting a false lowercase t truth lead. Fake news. And if we can find the capacity to love even in the midst of it, to forgive, to release, to move forward and choose a higher order by spiritual law, that love becomes our experience, individually, and it must be collectively. We are the conduit and the avenue for a higher order that the world needs right now. That transcends physical, emotional, and mental experience and your memory of how you were wronged. Tell me the story of empowerment. Tell me the story of rising above, not the myth. You know, if your story contains a hero, a villain, and a victim, tell it 3 times, then don't tell it anymore. I'll listen to you. People come into my office and they want to tell me their story. They get an hour. And I used to sit there going, when can I break in? We're almost at the end of the hour, and all I've heard is what a victim you are. I'll give you 10 minutes because I need to come down to the valley. It's real. It hurts. The human experience hurts. But as a minister, my job is to not let you camp out there. After 10 minutes, as Jesus did, let's go to the upper room. Let's go to the higher vibration. Let's go to the capital T, truth. The world doesn't need any more victims or stories of victimhood. This world needs stories of empowerment, of courage, of bravery, and strength. The world needs the voice that you bring. And the presence of God rushes in, will rush in to support that courage, to support that bravery, to support that voice. And so we have a song we're going to sing to go into meditation. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. That voice within us, the soul, the divine idea is saying this to us. I'm here. And when you act, an army of good rushes in. An army of love is there. Take a deep breath with me. It will not forget us. It's untouched by the painful experience. It will always be there. Take a deep breath. Find your soul and let us sing together. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. Capital T, truth resides in your soul. Let us listen.
As we move into meditation, we take a deep breath and inhale this truth together. I am whole. If you resisted any part of that truth, it's okay. Take another deep breath and inhale that truth again. I am whole. And for the 3rd time, with an even deeper breath and even deeper commitment, we inhale the truth. I am whole. We are still whole no matter the circumstance. No matter who is around, we are whole. We are still whole. In the face of adversity, we are still whole. In the face of sadness and loss, we are still whole. And even in the face of accountability, we are still whole. I'd ask you, as your eyes are closed, to see yourself moving throughout the day. See yourself whole, encountering the joys that you do, encountering the frustrations, encountering the moments that give you pause. And as you feel those moments of frustration and pause, ask yourself, are you still sitting as tall as you were in the joy? Do you perhaps feel more tension in your body? Nothing you've done or felt is wrong. We will simply remind our muscles of the truth. We are whole as you release that tension. Simply remind your spirit of the truth. We are whole as you adjust your posture. Replace the tension of life with the truth of who you are at your core. Your smile. Your quirks. Your kindness. Your power. Your strength. Your divine idea. Your light. That is who you are. As we transition into the silence, we allow the truth of who we are to rise, to live on the surface, to be a light in the darkness and music in the silence. As we return from the silence, we affirm the truth of our smiles, our quirks, our kindness, our power, our strength, our divine idea, and our light. We affirm the truth of the very essence of each and every one of you. Namaste.
Thank you, Danielle. I see your true colors, not your story. I invite you to see my true colors, not my story. And choice by choice by choice, we're walking the road back to heaven, right here and right now. So it's the time in our service for an offering, and Natalie's going to come back up and sing again. And I love this next song she's going to sing. But we have not done this for a while. You know, during COVID, there was nobody in the room, so we didn't need to pass baskets. And when we came back from COVID, there was only 6 of us here, so we didn't pass the baskets. There's a lot more of us right now. And the board of directors says there's prosperity that we might be missing. And so the ushers are going to come forward. And it gave us an opportunity to do a blessing and a song that we had not done for a very long time. And it's like visiting an old friend and an old truth. But I invite you to share this affirmation. Let's go ahead and put it up on the screen with me. And then we'll share in the song, and then Natalie will close us out, and then we'll all find true colors shining everywhere. But right now, join the ushers in their consciousness. Join Danielle and myself in this affirmation. Together, I am so blessed. I am so prosperous. And it is my great pleasure to share of my blessings and to share of my prosperity. And in the giving, the entire world is blessed. Thank you, God. If you'd like to text to give, you can do that as well. Text to give and find a way to give, to be invested in sharing the blessings, the good, the prosperity that we've all been blessed with. Let's sing, I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. Let's change the words. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. Come on up, Natalie. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am, one more time, like you mean it, from true colors. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. Once again, Natalie Goodwin.
Scared. Oh, I thought I knew I was scared. Now I'm so filled with fear, I can barely move. Doubts. I've had my share of doubts, but never more than right now. I'm wondering, where are you? Here on the edge of fall apart, somehow your promises find my troubled heart. This is the truth I'm standing on, even when all my strength is gone. You are faithful forever. I know you'll never let me fall. Right now I'm choosing to believe. Someday soon I'll look back and see all the pain had a purpose. Your plan was perfect all along. This is the truth I'm standing on. Good, I believe you're still good. Even when life's not good, I will not lose this hope that the God who parts the sea promises he's gonna make a way for me. This is the truth I'm standing on, even when all my strength is gone. You are faithful forever. I know you'll never let me fall. Right now I'm choosing to believe. Someday soon I'll look back and see all the pain had a purpose. Your plan was perfect all along. This is the truth I'm standing on. My rock, my shield, my firm foundation. I know I will not be shaken. You remind me where my help comes from. This is the truth I'm standing on, even when all my strength is gone. You are faithful forever. I know you'll never let me fall. Right now I'm choosing
joyful, Natalie. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So I invite, we're not going to hold hands. We had some people say we're not ready to hold hands yet, but send the energy to your left and your right. And let's go be truth tellers. Let's go tell a capital T truth, yes? We have a closing song I just found this week. It's by Charlie Thweet, and I just absolutely loved it. Let's put the lyrics up there, and let's take this as our commitment and our dedication to the power of the song that Natalie just sang, the power of the song that lives within you that's higher than your story. Make a joyful noise. If you don't know the song, that's okay. I'm still learning it myself. Together we sing, speak the truth. Tell me what you're feeling. Just speak the truth. With kindness in your heart. Just speak the truth. Things come up for healing. Just speak the truth and show me who you are. Show me who you are. Show me who you are. Spread your wings right now. Let me see who you are. We started the service with recognizing the divinity of each soul in this room. Take that view, take that idea out into the world as we sing one more time. Just speak the truth and tell me what you're feeling. Just speak the truth with kindness in your heart. Just speak the truth when things come up for healing. Just speak the truth and show me who you are. Show me who you are. Show me who. You like the song? It's a good one. I'm going to give you one more check at it. Just speak the truth. Tell me what you're feeling. Just speak the truth with kindness in your heart. Just speak the truth when things come up for healing. Just speak the truth and show me who you are. Show me who you are. Show me who you are. You're beautiful and you're magnificent. Go have a wonderful week of truth telling. Thanks so much for being here. And thanks for joining us online.